What's the most out-of-touch thing you've heard a person say? Why are you still living at home at 23? Just buy a house. Coming from someone whose parents bought her a house. Why don't you live on disability? As a response to disabled people complaining about local government cutting back programs designed for making gainful employment accessible. I don't understand why you bother renting an apartment. Just buy a house. My dad, who hadn't purchased a house since 1993. He told me, as long as you're dating someone better looking than you, you're going to have to get used to me being hit on or having something on the side. You're going to have to date an ugly guy for that loyalty shit. When my best friend passed unexpectedly, a lot of people said, well, at least it wasn't one of your female friends. That would have been way harder. As though I can't have a strong platonic bond with someone of the opposite sex. Edited to add because people are asking. It may have been a stretch to say a lot and I own that. I can think of 11 people who said it to me. But I'm saying 6 to 11 because if you take my coworkers and bosses who said it out of the equation, it was 6 people. I gave my coworkers and bosses the benefit of the doubt as I'm in the medical field and a lot of people in the medical field are numb to death and grieving and have poorly thought out responses regarding death. It doesn't make their comments any less fucked up though. I also returned to work the day after finding out he passed, so I was greeted with these comments without taking time to properly grieve. And I'm a woman, living in the US. I don't know why you would go to a community college when you can go to a university. Said by a high school guidance counselor giving a lecture on college admissions essays and applications in my senior AP English class after I asked naively if there's anything I had to do for community college. Turns out I had other classmates in the same boat who wanted to know too but felt too embarrassed to ask. Anyways, I went to community college to get my prerequisites out of the way and got my associate's degree. Then transferred into university for a competitive nursing program. I saved money from those first 2 years in community college. Didn't get a loan until I got into uni. Fuck that guidance counselor. The company owes you nothing. You owe the company everything. My boss after I worked for 4 years in the company. I was telling my boss how proud I was my husband got a new job, he's legally blind, and she proceeds to tell me that she wishes she had a disability so she could just get handed a job. Had to walk away F4 ohm that one. If you can't afford gas, buy an electric vehicle. My dad just died about a month ago. My company gave me 4 days unpaid off. I was really close to my father, so this was hard for me to deal with. My paycheck was enough to pay bills. But I had to buy my groceries on credit card to get by. My boss's brother-in-law died the following week. All he talks about is how hard this is on his wife. Between the stress of her brother dying and the reno on their $1 million cabin, he's taking his whole family to Hawaii for 10 days this month to try to deal with their grief. Meanwhile, I'm pricing urns out on Amazon to try to save money. Trying to sell my dad's tools to help my mom. Working full-time and taking care of a toddler. Recently got a new job that paid double what I used to make. When I resigned, my former boss told me money isn't everything, lol. I was only making minimum wage before. Who is your chocolatier? I was working at a school for the kids of the 1% and we were discussing what a millionaire was. One example I gave was owning property or assets worth $1 million or over, and the kid replied, "Oh. So everyone is a millionaire then?" Kim Kardashian being on a high horse saying women need to get up and go work to survive. She got famous for getting fucked on video. Sigh. Had a millionaire tell me it was so great that even though we could all be making much more than we were at our nonprofit, we stayed for the kids, because who needs money when your job is rewarding? Plot twist. He was a board member who controlled our salaries. I was barely making enough to scrape by. Anytime someone says why did they throw that away? It could have been donated to a homeless person. When referring to extremely expired or broken items. Edit to fix typo, open mouth face running dash. A year ago we were putting offers on houses. And our budget was low compared to what was available. And the realtor would ask, well, can't your parents help pitch in? Lol, which makes me think a lot of people are lucky enough for their parents to help with the home buying process, but yeah. Not us. External things don't affect your mental health. It is all about you. It's one banana. Michael. What could it cost? $10? Someone I know sadly always brags about her $500K flat, then tries to crowdfund for her cat's bills. Sort of tangential. Back in college, the entire class had a 10-minute argument with one student who didn't understand that not every country has citizenship by birth laws like the U.S. does. The professor held off jumping in for about 5 minutes to watch us explain it to her, but couldn't take it anymore and figured the student would finally believe it when she said it. No. She started arguing with the professor too. The total out of touch part came when she finally conceded with, well, that's stupid. They should just do things the way we do them here. My mom once told me in the 60s race didn't exist yet. Haven't really begun to unpack that one. Gal Gadot and Friends singing Imagine during the first few days of lockdown is up there. If you are depressed, just go to Tulum and take a break. Vibe high. Like, bitch. That is not how depression works. And yeah, I will just leave all my responsibilities just for randomly deciding going to vacations. When I told her that's not the way how depression works, she said you're just too pessimistic. Every time I feel depressed I do this. I asked how she knew she was depressed. And she answered, well, the last time I had depression was because I cried because my dad didn't want to take me to Paris for a year. I wanted to die in that moment. Had a friend in dental school who grew up in the rich suburbs north of Detroit. We were talking about traveling. She was going to Thailand for spring break, and she said, I'd be surprised if most people hadn't traveled to at least 20 countries. I told her I'd be surprised if most people had ever left the US at all. I grew up super poor. Like going days without eating kinda poor. All because my mom legit thought welfare was only for unwed black mothers. She never called anybody to confirm that. Never asked around. She wouldn't apply for reduced school lunches either because that was ghetto. Imagine being so racist and buying into the welfare queen lie so hard that you let your own children starve. That allowing ice fishing shacks would then give rise to prostitution. Why don't you just buy a house? What an absolutely terrific idea. Can't believe I didn't think of that. Let's see. The cheapest house in my neighborhood is currently $335. And has plumbing and wiring left over from the 1970s. No central heating. Mold. Foundation problems. A roof that needs replacing. The oldest water heater I've ever seen in my life. A gopher issue. Bad windows. A terrible location with a driveway that opens up right onto one of the busiest streets in town. And the smallest backyard ever. The bank won't approve us for a loan on the mortgage because they think we can't pay it. Even though we pay $200 more than in a month in rent even after the fees. That's that idea in the garbage. What other brilliant fixes do you have for my life? Edit. To any dumbfuck who tells me to just move out to the country. Shut up. The town we live in has a sub 20K population. This is just what it's like everywhere within 15 miles of the large metro area we live near. I'm not moving a half hour or more from all out friends and family, and I shouldn't have to. Please keep your terrible takes out of my inbox. We should never raise taxes on the rich. I'm not used to sacrificing things, so if you make me take only one vacation a year, it would be worse than if you made a poor person have less. Because they are used to not having things already. Student in a college finance course. I've met many people that thought the US government paid immigrants a boatload of money when they first moved to the US. And that's how they could afford to own convenience stores and stuff. It's literally the exact opposite. People spend an insane amount of money to get here. More often than not, it's almost everything they have. My boss told me that the leasing of our company car is ending and I could buy it for really cheap if I want it. Really cheap meant $20. €000 for him. He pays me €750 a month. I am still in training, that's why it's so little. And I live on my own and have a car. So basically I'd have to work about 2 years for this really cheap car without spending a cent on anything. 4 of my millennials friends and I rented a house from a boomer some years ago. After signing the lease, boomer turns to us and asks why we aren't buying homes and flipping them like he does. This was before the mega boom in housing prices, and we explained that we wouldn't be renting if we had buying house money. I wish we could make work from home possible for our business. But unfortunately we cannot, said in a meeting over Zoom. Poolside. While working from home. A woman told me that having to show her Costco membership card upon entering the building was the worst thing that's ever happened to me. And she was dead serious. I was on my 6th day of a migraine and would love to have the worst event of my life to have been showing a membership card. Get your ass up and go to work, said the socialite born into money that got famous by lying on her back. Honestly, fuck the Kardashians. Me conversing with a patient about the housing market when I was like 22. Me. Houses are so expensive it's going to be difficult to get into the market in a few years. This was some years ago. Patient whose husband inherited a lot of money and a business and now they're wealthy AF. Rent is the same as a mortgage though. Me. It's the down payment we need. Patient. Why don't you just get your parents to give you the down payment? That's what ours did and we paid them back. Me. My dad is dead and my mom has a rare illness that placed her on long-term disability. Patient. Well, me. Not everybody has the same opportunities in life. Patient. Edit. I am 27 now and have a down payment but to no surprise. The houses within a 1-to-1, 5-hour radius in all directions of me are selling for 1-to-1. 5 million lol. As a result, interviewing for jobs too. 5 hours away where the market is nice and affordable. I cannot understand why there are dumb people that do not wish to become more wealthy and just enroll in, insert generic top university. Referring to people that are content with their jobs and do not wish to change their career path for the sole sake of money and status. Also assuming of course everybody has money and time for that. I don't want my taxes going to poor people who can't help themselves. Said by a 14 whose parents were fairly wealthy. I'm pretty sure the 14-year-old was not paying taxes. Suggested someone take the bus to save on gas prices. They responded, ew. Do you know what kind of people take the bus? Yeah. Working class people. And also me? Whenever my depression would get really bad, my ex would say things like, it's all in your head. Stop choosing to be sad. It's not a choice. Anyone calling themselves an entrepreneur while pitching an MLM. Some guy at my work recently said he hopes Russia invades Canada so he can shoot some Russians. This is a 40 to 50-year-old dude BTW. Just buy a Tesla. Some idiots with the price increase on petrol and stuff. Africa is a country. In front of an Ethiopian who insisted that Africa is a continent. What? People still use libraries? Lady who said it never worked a day in her life. Has a master's in something and lives in a 5-bedroom house and used to have a working kiln in the basement. And a 3-car garage with gas-guzzling SUVs. And she owns like the most expensive kitchen appliances. I am sure that a catering team could work out of her kitchen. I was rendered speechless. LAN parties are insociable. An English teacher. My stepdad. On why he is against gay marriage. I just don't understand how you can look at another man's ass and think that it's attractive. Well, Dave, you're not gay. You have no right to be upset. He didn't touch you. My mom said this to me one day after it was revealed my dad had been abusing my brothers. Get your ass up and work. It seems like nobody wants to work these days, Kim Kardashian. If you don't like it here, just leave. I don't like here because it's housing, healthcare, food, Gas is so expensive. You think I can afford to move to a different country? I can't even afford a plane ticket. And then I see the disinfectant where it knocks COVID-19 out in a minute. 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that? By injection inside or almost a cleaning? Opening square bracket ... I'm not a doctor. But I'm, like, a person that has a good you-know-what. A male friend and I were walking around his city when I noticed this guy watching me intensely and following us. We're about to get into this elevator and the guy quickly jumps in before us and make prolonged eye contact with me. So I hold us back from getting in the elevator and the guy gets off and walks away. Tell my friend about it and he tells me how hurt he felt that I robbed him of his ability. As a man. To protect me. The fact that he thought I should ignore my own sense of self-preservation. Just to soothe his own ego was one of the most out-of-touch things I heard in a while. If your children are gay, we would just have to tell them that's not something we nor the Catholic Church believe in. My out-of-touch family, and the moment I realized I was done. I attend a typical, rich kids, high school as one of the non-rich kids, at least to the standards of the environment I was in. The amount of asinine, delusional shit I heard on the daily made my skin crawl sometimes. When my friend turned 16, her parents gave her one of their Beamers. The thing was maybe 5 years old. She non-stop complained at the fact her parents had the audacity to give her a used car instead of buying her the new Audi she wanted. One day, she was on another diatribe about how much her parents sucked for giving her a hand-me-down car, and I snapped and told her that she should be grateful her parents had the means to give her her own car in the first place. Let alone a luxury vehicle. Her response? Well, it isn't my problem your parents don't work hard enough. I was a peasant who shared one of my parents' cars or took the bus. Sarcasm. If you're depressed, just get up and go for a walk. Lol. The depression is what's stopping me from doing exactly that, Brenda. But thanks, I am cured. Former employee when I confronted him on how has been treating coworkers. I've worked with those types of people before. What types of people? You know. Women. When COVID first became a pandemic and grocery stores in the US were out of stock of everything because people were panic buying. I was telling a person I was living with that they should leave food so other families could eat, and they said I don't care about other families. For reference, they bought 4 gallons of milk in one shopping trip for a small family. And other extreme quantities like that. This is the same person who, when my pop-pop died while they were on a vacation, was also out of touch. Well, I guess it's good you didn't go with us after all, was the first thing they said when they saw me. Went to college with a guy who proudly announced on his Facebook page, "Taxation is theft," while also proudly displaying the fact that he's attending a state university. Are we going to trust science? Or our own eyes? For context, I had a job that had me working 60+ hours a week with only 2 days off every other week. Hour-long commute each way. Low pay. The whole shebang. This job put a huge drain on my mental health. I was already depressed. And started having suicidal thoughts. Confessed this to my boyfriend one night. Because I was getting scared. I'd been having these thoughts and feelings for 2 months. His input. Oh, everyone hates their job. That's normal. Me wanting to drive myself into a tree every day is normal? MK. Good to know. People complaining about homeless people having phones. As if the costs of one phone and monthly rent are remotely comparable. The most unusual thing I heard from my friend is that he seriously thinks that menstruation doesn't exist. A few months ago there was this thing on the news where they tried to break down the average American spending with a pie chart. They had some of the most ridiculous things I have ever seen listed on that chart. For example, they seem to believe that the average lower middle class American donates between $300 and $600 a month to charity. Yeah. Okay. Tell that wasn't pieced together by a bunch of rich people who are completely out of touch with what it's like to be middle class or lower middle class. When a guy on IATA was upset his wife was making him babysit their infant too much. So he and his mom told her there'd be no more going out. He said him going out all the time was different than her going out. And when asked for clarification, he said because she's better at changing diapers and getting the baby to sleep. It truly blows my mind that there are morons out there who think taking care of their own children is babysitting. I still think that if you don't like where you live, just move. Sure, it's definitely going to be easy to pack all 3 of my kids' bedrooms. Find and hire a moving company. Find a job. Sell my house. Research the cost of living and state laws. Buy another house. Pay for another company to move my work vehicle across country. Drive or buy airfare for 4 people. Buy a new house. And settle in. Yay. Super easy. I work for an HBCU and recently went through a rough patch at work that had nothing to do with me being Caucasian and working at a historically black college. My mom. You are just going to have to accept that they hate us. Me. Please stop watching Fox News all day. If someone doesn't have enough money, they should just get a better job. Every time you feel depressed, just think to yourself, at least I didn't live through the Holocaust. Those people had real suffering. That should make you feel better. The media saying inflation is a good thing and that we should be fine with not being able to afford daily life. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like. If you would like to see more content like this in the future, subscribe and turn on notifications to be notified about future videos. Now check out one of these interesting videos.